Hi everybody, welcome to Arabella's Reading Channel. I'm Arabella and today we will be reading Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato. If that's the potato, that's a really big potato. Jamie O'Rourke was the laziest man in all of Ireland. He would do anything to avoid working, especially if it had to do with growing potatoes. That's Jamie O'Rourke. He does look lazy. Jamie O'Rourke, his wife Eileen, would say, "We'll have nothing to eat this winter if you don't go out and dig up the prairies." "Oh, the saints preserve us," Jamie would whine. "Me back's as sore as can be. Sure, I'm telling you, wife, you'll have to dig them up yourselves. I'll break in two if I so as much get out of this bed." I don't know if that's true. So Eileen, who had done all the planting and watering and weeding anyhow, would go out to the tiny garden and dig up the smallest potatoes in Ireland. All because Jamie was too lazy to dig a larger garden and had no money to buy good potato seed. My, he is a very lazy man. That is the tiniest potato I've ever saw. Good thing I don't really like potato. Then poor Eileen wrenched her back and was laid up in bed. St. Bridget and the Virgin Mary herself must have smiled on Eileen O'Rourke, the village woman said. "Why, it's the first rest she's had since she married Jamie O'Rourke." With Eileen in bed, Jamie began to worry. No Eileen to dig meant no praise all winter, and no praise meant no food. Well, if you just do yourselves, then... "Oh, poor me," wailed Jamie. "I'll starve to death. I'll best go to church and confess to Father O'Malley. There's no telling how soon old death will be knocking on me door." So even though it was midnight, Jamie set out for the church. He was about halfway down the hill when he heard singing and a tap-tap-tapping sound. Ooh, wonder what that could be. Sure, oh wait, I think it's, nope. "Sure, I wouldn't be known," Jamie whispered, "but I swear it's a leprechaun." And sure enough, sitting in a circle of ferns in the moonlight was a leprechaun, singing and hammering tiny nails into the heels of fairy boots he was making. Jamie knew just what to do. He crept up and grabbed the little man by his coattails and held firm. "Let me go! Let me go!" the leprechaun shouted. "Not on your life," Jamie said. "Not until you show me where you keep your pot of gold." Ooh. Is he gonna be rich here soon? I wonder. Now everyone in Ireland knows that leprechauns make boots and dancing shoes for the fairies, who pay for them with gold. And everyone knows that if you catch a leprechaun, he'll pay for his freedom with his pot of gold. But this leprechaun was cleverer than the most. "Oh, please, Mr. Mortal Man," he pleaded. "I'm just starting out making fairy shoes and I only have 1 or 2 pieces of gold in my pot. Won't you take a wish instead?" "Why, what would I wish for?" Jamie asked. "Me, who's about to die of starvation because my wife is sick in bed and can't dig up the prairies for winter. and they're such puggy praties anyhow. Well, said the leprechaun, reaching into his pocket, you could wish for the biggest pratie in the world. It would last all winter and you wouldn't have to do anything more than plant this seed, water it, and wait. Wow. That leprechaun is clever. That sounded wonderful to Jamie. Done, he shouted. And as the leprechaun dropped the seed into Jamie's hand, Jamie let go of his coattails, and off that leprechaun scampered. When Aline heard what he had done, she was furious. Jamie O'Rourke, you're not only the laziest man in Ireland, but a fool as well, giving up a pot of gold for a pratie seed. Well, I'm going to plant this seed and water it, and you'll see, Jamie said, and out he went. Wow, Jamie looks very persistent. That's a leprechaun running off into the night. And Faith Aline did see. In no time at all, the biggest, finest potato plant has sprouted out of the ground, followed by the potato itself. It was so big, it pushed up not only the dirt in the garden, but the garden shed and the corner of the cottage as well. Oh my. Well, surely now it's ready to dig, Jamie said proudly. Yeah, it's definitely ready to dig. The whole cottage is tilting because of the potato, or as they call it, pratie. He hoed all around it, but he couldn't dig that pratie out of the ground. He got a beam and a big rock and tried to pry it out. He pushed and he pushed, but it wouldn't budge. As he was pondering what to do, his neighbor passed by on his way to the village. He couldn't believe his eyes. He couldn't wait to tell everyone in the village what he had seen. And before you knew it, the hill up to Jamie's was filled with villagers coming to see the big potato. What a big potato. Where did it come from? They asked. Jamie told them about the lucky night he had caught the leprechaun and how smart he had been. Why, anyone could have gotten a pot of gold, he bragged. But the biggest pratie in the world, well, that took some doing. Actually, leprechaun did it for you. However, did you outsmart a leprechaun? They all asked at once. Jamie hesitated and scratched his head. We'll help you dig up your pratie, Jamie, if you tell us how you did it. And they grabbed shovels and hoes and started to dig. I'm not too sure about this right now. They dug and they dug and they pushed and they shoved until the potato flew up out of its hole. It rolled down the hill. It rolled down the hill faster and faster until it reached the bottom, where it bounced up high and came to a stop wedged between two stone walls on either side of the road. What to do now? Oh my goodness. That's a big problem. That pratie is so big that no one, no cart, nothing can get by it, the constable complained to Father O'Malley. How's a body to get in or out of the village? What shall we do? The villagers wailed. Then they all looked at Jamie and said, it's your pratie. You'll have to move it out of the way. Oh my. Well, Ellen spoke up, there's more than enough pratie for everyone. Why don't you all take some? That's a big potato. I don't know if all the villagers are going to be able to eat it all. So the villagers sawed and chopped and carted off huge pieces of potato while Jamie sat on the stone wall and watched. He is lazy. All winter long, everyone had potato to eat and eat and eat until no one wanted to see or hear a potato again. Oh my. So in the first picture, it looks like they're happy to eat potato, but then like they're just so tired of potato. Every single villager. In the spring, Jamie said, I saved potato eye for a seed, and it's just about time to plant it. Oh no, the villagers all cried. If you promise not to plant it, Jamie, we'll promise before St. Patrick and all the saints to see that you and Aline always have plenty to cook and eat. We don't want another giant party around here. Jamie smiled and agreed. What a perfect life for a lazy man. And so you see, darling Aline, Jamie told her, I wasn't such a fool with that leprechaun after all. And Aline had to admit that Jamie O'Rourke was right. And that's the leprechaun with his pot of gold. I hope you enjoyed this book. Please press like and subscribe. Bye.